There are so many ways to be a great D&D player. The main advice I give, and what I try to live by, is follow the thread. If your DM sets up a beautiful tea, knock it, follow that thread wherever it leads. That is where they have prepared wonders for you, and you can trust your DM. I often find it's helpful if other players engage other players at the table for role play or things like that, if they are a more active or role play kind of character and they tend to do a lot of the talking, being able to say, especially if it's a newer player or someone saying like, I'm having a little trouble here, can you help me out? And see if like another player is willing to jump in with some role play and say, oh yeah, I help him by applauding or whatever it is. And it's one way to, get yourself advantage on something. And also involve the other players, reminding us all that this is a group activity, that we are meant to be playing together. And yes, everyone's gonna get a moment to shine, but I think it's really helpful at a table when other players support each other. I had built a bookcase of all these different books, and it was along the lines of solve the puzzle, pull the right books, and you will get through the door, the secret entrance into it. And I'd spent so much time and work on it, and I had drawn out a bookcase with all of these names, and only 5 of them were the ones you needed, and all the 50 other names were just MacGuffins, right? Red herrings, I should say. And they could tell I'd spent a lot of time on it, and they just weren't getting it. And I was trying to help them and all that. Maybe I was less experienced, but our rogue at the table went, is there a kitchen? And I said, yes. They went and they got flour, and they dusted the books for fingerprints. And it solved the puzzle. I went, that is brilliant. And even though it's not my puzzle, I was so proud of her and that ingenuity, and it got them through the door and it got the story to continue. And I wasn't it was a really wonderful moment because I went, I'm not mad, right? There's no part of me that goes, you didn't solve this the way I wanted you to solve it. If anything, now I just have a puzzle I can use again, you just saved me work in 2 weeks. But it was such a good moment, and I think a good learning moment from my players. She taught me that, again, your players are always going to be smarter than you, and that's a good thing, and to trust them. The right DM makes a big difference. People have very specific play styles in the way that they like to play. I would say for a first time, you want a really flexible DM who's not going to be too hard on the mechanics. Your first time should be about imagination and getting your head out of the very complicated mathy sheet and kind of up at the table. Because I'll say coming into it, that's what I needed. Now, I'm all about the math and the power building and the mechanics and all that. You will get there. You will read those 3 gigantic books eventually, but it'll be because you want to and you're excited about the information rather than feeling like homework, which I think can be a barrier sometimes for people with this game. So making sure that you find a DM who's like, don't worry about it, come have a great time, I'll tell you what to roll. Just tell me what you want to do and we'll figure out how to do it. So I think finding that right DM to kind of be your entry point, and frankly, it could be you. I don't mind, the idea of someone being a totally non-player, picking it up and trying to DM. Not a problem. You might be a fantastic DM and you just don't know it yet. No, there's no wrong way to play D&D. I mean, the only wrong way to play D&D would be to be like a mean person, It's just a group game, right? I think as long as you are on board for that and understand that you are all sharing this experience together, there's no right or wrong. People have different preferences though, and I do think the best experiences come when you find other people that gel with your particular style, but absolutely, 0 wrong ways to play, unless you're a bad person, but you're not. We've been talking a lot about new players and new DMs. I just want to give a little shout out back to being a new writer, right? Writing your own material, whether you run it or not. That was a scary proposition for me when I started, but I don't know, do it, just do it. I really do recommend that everyone at home, but 5e especially is such a flexible system. You can redress that any way you want. If you love alien stories, or you love horror stories, or you love fantasy. I mean, it's, you know, but of a different flavor. 5e lets you do that. And so I would encourage anyone who's ever just had that little thought or that little bug to give writing Dungeons and Dragons, writing 5e a try, to just go for it, really go for it, and redress this in a way that is unique and specific to the vision of the world that you bring.